Any small car with Richard in is amusing.
Did you draw that smiley face?
What?
Did you draw that smiley face?
Yeah. It's a sad face.
Well, this is the start. This is the start of a new project. I think this one will be here a little while.
Just gonna weld this one up.
Oh yeah. Figaro, Figaro.
Hold it, Jensen, so it'll kick off.
So I'm led to believe this is an engine on a pallet. Okay. Yes! That's awesome, lads. Awesome. So you've got the wiring thinned out then?
No, I've just put it on so I can start filming.
That's so cool. Clean these bits up, like, you know what I mean? So I'll just clean the worst bits up. Which it will, Yep. Well, as you just saw on the dyno, a beautiful little blue Nissan Pao. We see quite a few of these. Please excuse my rooster hair. There's a story behind that, but we're not going into that till next week.
No, okay.
Yes, so you've done some work on this one, haven't you, mate?
Yeah, to be fair, this has been a challenge over the last week, this car has. A very good customer of ours. This car originally started off as a 1 litre 3-speed auto. Near enough bang on 10 years ago, we converted it to a 1.2 5-speed manual from a K10 marker. These are very loosely based on a K10 marker, all the underpinnings of a K10 marker, but the body was made in the pipe factory in Japan. So anyway, we did that conversion for them. They'd spent a long time, 6 months, trying to find someone to do it. Couldn't really find anyone. Fell on us by chance.
Is that how we met?
That's how we met, yeah. So fell on us by chance. He gave
They're
us
like part of the furniture around here.
They are now, yeah.
Sorry, so he gave you the opportunity to do this work.
So we did a couple of jobs for them. I think that was a bit of a tester, a teaser to see what sort of work we were doing and if they were happy. And then they said obviously about doing it, and I says, well, the best thing you do, if it's a K10 marker underneath, because I knew nothing about these at the time, I says obviously get a K10 marker, get it a 1.2 5-speed manual, drive it, make sure you're happy with it, everything's good, and I'll take all the mechanicals out of it and I'll put it straight in the Pao for you, no problem. I says it should be should be as simple as that. So anyway, that's exactly what we did.
Was it pretty simple, that one?
It was pretty simple, that one, to be fair. We did it in, I think, 12 hours, I think we did it in, a complete conversion. So we rang him up, and it was literally, I think we had it a day and a half or so. We had it 2 days tops. And I rang him up and said, it's ready for collection. I've road tested it. I'm happy with it. It's ready to go. And he's like, you're joking. I've spent nearly 12 months trying to sort this out. And you've
done
just,
it in 12 hours.
And you've done it in like a day and a half or whatever. You know what I mean? So he was really happy with that. We've obviously built a massive relationship with Lee and Sarah at Inky Mole Motors.
This car with that engine has been everywhere.
It has. They've literally, before we pulled the engine out last week, they'd just gone to like all around the Netherlands and all around there. They've done nearly 1,000 miles in a week in the car. So they really do use it as well. You know what I mean? We've done many projects with them. If you've seen the Pink Pao, we've done that with them.
That's it. That's the SR20 deck
rear-wheel drive conversion. We work with them on that. They've done a lot of other powers in between. They now actually do buy and break them and buy and sell a few. So they're sort of the UK second-hand parts dealer now is what they're doing. And what they managed to do is they spoke to me a few weeks ago about doing a 1 litre turbo conversion from a Figaro is what they talked about. So converting the car to fuel injection from carb, so make it more reliable, better to start in the winter, things like that. Obviously a little bit more power. I think the last time it was 62 brake horsepower was the 1.25 speed manual. I think we were 52 before that with the 1 litre 3-speed auto, and then this today has run 80 brake horsepower, so roughly give or take about an extra 20 brake horsepower. Which, when you consider you're talking about such low power in the first place, 20 brake horsepower and 20 foot-pounds of torque is, I mean, someone I'm surely work it out and tell me I'm wrong, but around 20-25% increase in power, which is a lot, you know, in a small car. The beauty of it being fuel injected now instead of carburetor as well. Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot more reliability there. You know what I mean? Like we move to briefly wander away from it, like we're doing with Dan's Brown Colt. You know, we originally was a carb car. We couldn't get it running properly. All the rest of it, we're converting that to fuel injection again. So it can be started every day. It can be driven every day. You know what I mean?
A daily. And that's what this is. This is Lee's daily, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. So, like I said, we started off taking the engine out of the Figaro. It was running, it was obviously in a car, but it had the auto box on it. We took the engine out, put everything onto a pallet. We set the fuel tank out, the whole wiring loom from the Figaro out, and got it running on a pallet on the floor. I'm sure there's a video of that Dan's got. So we can
I think it's on YouTube as a short.
Yeah, but we could put it in this video as well. So we had it running at that point. Then what we did was thin the wiring loom out. So obviously there's a large amount of wiring, which is, for example, the roof on the Figaro, all the lights, all the internal blower motors, the aircon, all that sort of stuff that we just do not need to run the engine. So we thinned the loom down. Me and Jensen had a whole 8 hours sat on some little stools picking wires out, and completely cut that down to the bare minimum and made a loom so it would run on the thing, on the pallet, completely thinned out, rev counter working, all the warning lights working, so that obviously we can run that to the Pao dash. So we did exactly that. The Pao, to be fair, because it's carb, it didn't have a lot of wires, probably only like 10 wires that ran the engine. So there wasn't a lot. So there wasn't a lot to thin out.
Certainly no CAN bus.
No CAN bus wiring. There wasn't a lot to thin out on the actual car itself. But what I did decide to do in the end was I used the Figaro loom, which was just to run the engine. And then I ran the sensor wires. So coolant temp was from the original Pao because it obviously connected to the original clock. So I ran that to the engine, all pressure to the engine. And then we ran the fuel pump sender wires up to the back so that obviously it would pick up the fuel gauge and all that would work. Same with the battery warning and the fluid pot and things like that, and obviously so that everything was still working with that. So it's an amalgamation of 2 looms, but there is actually 2 separate looms in this car, basically. As it sounds.
I mean, I do notice that there's literally 3 switches and an indicator in here.
Yeah, again, it's so basic in here. The wiring in that respect was okay in here.
Yeah.
It wasn't causing any major problems. But obviously the wiring took the longest amount of time. I think in total now, to do this conversion, we've had a total of 51 hours.
Yeah.
Is what we've had to get where we are to right now, this second, with everything done. There's a couple of little bits that we've still got left to do for the customer. He wants to do a distributor cap and rotor arm on it and a rock cover gasket on it. But I said to him, I'm literally out of time. I can't do it. Basically, the big push for this car is we've literally had a week to do the whole conversion.
Yeah.
Is that they want to do retro rides on Sunday and they wanted the car back for them.
Which is at Mallory Park.
Which is at Mallory Park. And they wanted the car back for them. So we've had a week. And well, we've had a week. It got dropped. This car got dropped here last Thursday, and we had 2 days before that on the Figaro. So we've effectively had a week and 2 days in total. But we've actually had this car in our possession for a week. Completed the whole conversion, start to finish, which I think is really, really good. We put the hours in. Jensen's worked hard, and this is not a case of we've stopped all the work that we've had in the workshop either. We've done this on top of what we're already doing, you know, to get this car done for them because they are such good customers. So we said we'd get it done.
And it is wicked.
It's
man.
about broke me this week. I'll be honest.
I mean, this is as retro as something is ever gonna look. Inside, it's very basic, very clean, but it looks beautiful. It's like, I don't know, it's like a 60s dream, although I think it's a 1990.
Yeah, it's a 90 car, yeah.
But
It's a 91 car.
It's a very strange looking car on the outside and on the inside, but it's got a big heart now. It's got a little turbo.
Yeah,
bit of
I mean,
turbo.
I drove it earlier and it definitely feels quicker than it did, obviously, with another 20 brake horsepower. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that when you say, oh, it's not really worth it for 80 brake, but the suspension and everything in this car can't handle any more than that. I mean, it is slightly more blancmangy, for want of a word, because recently they had coilovers on, and one of the coilovers had a problem. We went back to standard suspension until they can find a set of coilovers that they want to purchase, and it's worse now than it was with the coilovers. So I drove it earlier, and you sort of drive it and you sort of put it into a corner and you're like, whoa, this really feels, because I've drove this car many times on the coilovers and it handled quite well, and I was like, I went over there and I was like, oh, that feels different. You know, so it's that. But this car is going to progress. There's a second stage to this car. We've talked about already making a manifold for the turbo. We've already talked about making an uprated downpipe to obviously remove the cap.
Intercooler?
Intercooler we've already talked about.
Because the turbo's directly onto the inlet.
Yeah, it just goes straight out the turbo, straight into the inlet. So we've talked about intercooler. We've also talked about induction kit. So this won't be the last time we see this car. You know, we will be seeing it for a second round of mods. But right now, this second, it's done. We've done exactly what we need to do, is get the engine in, make it all look pretty, get all the wiring done. We also fitted a boost gauge and a rev counter, because obviously it doesn't have either in here, so we've done that. Although they are looking to change the rev counter, it was just a temporary measure for now so that I could run the wires and get it working. And yeah, they're going to take it away and enjoy it over the weekend, which will be a good shakedown for the car, obviously.
Such a cool, funky little thing. Yeah, brilliant.
Sure.
Okay, well, we'll have a look at the graph.
And Dan might do a little walk round and have a look at the engine.
Do a little walk round and look at the engine, yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
cool.
Let's do it.
Let's go do it.
Okay, so a little look at the graph there, and as you can see, not really much to look at, but it's 80 brake horsepower, and we finish on 81 brake and 81 foot-pound of torque. So let's go and have a walk around, hopefully in the sunshine.
Before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast.